is the introduction to the main menu screen. This icon here will take you to this video. The first thing I want to point out in this application is that when you use the application, the primary interface is from the top of the application. All of the buttons below the top level buttons are supporting the main screens: the customer screen, the sales screen, the inventory screen, the purchase screen, and the supplier or vendor screen. There are some additional screens over here for expenses, employee, and the account ledger. These are not considered primary but secondary screens, even though they are parent screens. What is a parent screen? The top level screens you see up here are parent screens. The ones below that are child screens. A parent screen is one where you create new records. New records are created when you access a screen and that you need to add a new record for, say, for example, adding a new customer, a new sales item, a new inventory item, a purchase order, or you add a new vendor. Now, the ideal thing you want to do when you're creating the application inputs, when you first start using this application, is to go ahead and create your customer list. If you have something like a customer list already from another application or an Excel spreadsheet, it can be imported directly into this application. The next thing you're going to want to do is on the inventory screen, you're going to want to create your inventory. This can also be imported, but as it's covered in the inventory screen video help, it's going to explain about product codes that are a little different than maybe something that you've used in the past. The next thing you're going to want to do is to create your purchase order. The initial purchase order, what it does is you do a walk around inventory and you account for all the items you currently have in inventory. You create one purchase order that is called the initial inventory. This is where you do that in the supplier or vendor screen. You create one client supplier that says inventory or initial inventory. Now, you do not want to repeat the inventory where you would add another inventory screen for the purchase. What I'm saying there is that once you create your initial inventory, from there on in, as you add purchase orders, you should be updating the actual inventory items on the shelf. By when you do the purchase, it will update the inventory itself. As each purchase order is created, the quantity of received items and only quantity of received items are counted into the inventory. If you order and do not receive them, and they are maybe an RMA, return authorization, you do not add those to the inventory because they're not received items. The next thing you're going to do after you've created your inventory and you have your basic inventory installed and you do your purchase orders is to add your suppliers. And when you add your suppliers, you're setting up your vendors that you're going to use to purchase items from those vendors. Once you have these three and the customer in place, you now can start doing sales invoices because you have customers, inventory items, and you've supplied the initial inventory with the quantity on hand with the initial inventory that you do on a walk around. The last thing you want to do on the application is to go ahead and add your expense for a month-to-month expense, and you start creating those. This is actually a parent screen, and what it does is it tracks all of your expenses on a monthly basis, and then it's summarized in the account ledger. In addition to that, there is also an employee screen so you can track employee work hours and schedules, and these have these two buttons that do that particular task. The account ledger is covered separately, but I want to make a point with the account ledger, it's only using information that was created in these primary screens and whatever reports that feed the account ledger. The account ledger is a very important item in that it gives you an overview of your actual expenditures in the expenses area, all of your income from sales, and your purchases. As you do purchases, you are adding more cost to your system, where the sales are adding income. So you would see those kinds of things. And then the expenses are also obviously charged as expenses against the account ledger. This will be covered when you go to the account ledger video, and it'll show you how to use the account ledger. This is a new version of the account ledger that is different from the past POS apps in that it allows you to manage them a lot closer. as far as what your usage is and how your balance is running on a month-to-month basis. Or even you can do week or day, even if you wanted to, if that was part of the process that you want to do. This is more of a report structure this time, as not a passive type of a report. You can actually do finds in it now and set up the account ledger the way you want to see it. Now, if you have any questions about the basic overview of the screen and the buttons, you can contact me. But make sure that you understand as you're setting up your application to follow all the videos before you start adding data. Just go ahead and look at them all, walk through them, and get familiar with the type of usage of the screens and then all the sub-screens and reports. Understand that reports, the ones that are in yellow, may be restricted to management type people, and some of the other reports or screens would also be something that you would have to have data that was already put in for them to actually present you with information. So as you build your data in your primary screens, then all these will start functioning as they're supposed to based on the information that you add in your primary screens. Thank you for taking this video.